Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi Achint. I have with me Mr. Vicky Nanjappa. Now, I don't know if you guys have read his articles and stuff. You guys must follow him on Twitter. Okay, he's a freelance journalist today, and he writes a lot on INS. He writes in multiple other platforms about national security. A lot of articles about Pakistan, a lot of articles about Bangladesh, a lot of what is happening around. So, firstly, Namaskar, sir. Welcome to the show.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think is your opinion about the status of, Pakistaniyat in Bangladesh? You've written quite a bit about it, so tell me what.
Yeah, see, the thing is, Bangladesh, the targeting of minorities, it's not a new phenomenon out there. It's been going on for quite some time. Now, while you ask about Pakistani, in fact, I was just about to start writing something on that very same subject. Now, what happens is the targeting of Hindus and the other minorities was a regular affair. But now it looks like a coordinated, targeted thing. Like what exactly is happening in Pakistan. So this is they want. The thing is, it is mandatory for you to hate the Hindus out there. Now that is the doctrine they want to change, and that is what they're getting the Jamaats to do out there. So that is the Pakistaniyat out there as far as the minorities is concerned. And
Hmm.
now with Yunus, in power, with him giving away so much to Pakistan, they like. Today it looks like a truly ungrateful country, actually, if you would ask me. The opening of the sea routes, the easing of the visa norms, and that ISI cell within the Pakistan High Commission, the number of officers that are there, the coordination between the terror groups. It's like all Pakistan. There's nothing like, they want isolated completely from India there. So that, this whole thing, this Hadi murder was staged so that India could be blamed. They're trying to dish up the anti-India sentiment, which really wasn't there in Bangladesh, until Sheikh Hasina was there, and even before that also. Although under the BNP and Jamaat, there were certain activities which were completely anti-India, but not to this extent. Now this looks like willful targeting, and if I would say willful targeting and new doctrines, in play now. ISI calling the shots, and when you say Jamaat, it is ISI. So that that is what I see as the change. And another thing, what they're trying to do is, if you notice, after the killing of every Hindu, those horrible lynchings and all that, they're diluting the cases intentionally and passing it off as personal disputes, and as personal disputes, or he was involved in some crime. So this is how they're institutionalizing the whole thing there, and they still don't want it to make it look like atrocities. So that is the cover up which they're doing there, and this is classic the Pakistan operation, what we saw happening to the minorities out there. So that is the Pakistaniyat which is going on there.
You mentioned this very interesting thing when you look at the entire game which is happening in Bangladesh. Is there is a control that Pakistan is trying to, take over, and funnily speaking, that same control it's losing over its own country.
Country, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
How does this make sense?
See, one is what happened is post the liberation war, actually, they realized that winning a war with India is not an option, Pakistan. So how do we stress this country? And that's when they got along with the Jamaat. And our research and analysis wing had a file in the 80s where there's intentionally trying to push, boost up illegal immigration, so that and passing it off like and we have one liberal set out here which will try and pass it off like what do you say, that they're unemployed, and now that unemployment problem, I would say, is a 2 in 100, but the whole game plan is very different. In the sense is, come stress the population out here. Like if there is a village which has, say, 30,000 Hindus, deliberately put about 60,000 of their people out there, so that they become the majority out there, and then they start bullying. And this, the agencies knew right from the 1980s of this plan by ISI and Jamaat. And this automatically, then what happens? The Hindus get upset, that their land is being snatched away, the crimes are going up, and then there are clashes, and then there are communal clashes. So that was the larger game plan. Okay. And an officer former RAW officer, that is Mr. Amar Bhushan, has even written about it. I mean, I've interviewed him many times on that subject. So this has been the pattern. Now they're trying that also. And as you rightly pointed out, all hell has broken loose for them there. Baloch National Army, Nationalist Army is against them, TTP is against them, and strangely, even Afghan Taliban has gone against them. So they seem pretty isolated out there. These are two things in Bangladesh. One is they were very, very this on the moment Yunus was, put out there as the advisor to the interim government. They knew they had him on board. When the Jamaat's support, the students who protested, they were all, many from the Islamic Chatra Shabir, that is of Jamaat's student wing. So they knew that once Jamaat is in control, it's time to take the revenge of 71. And that is why they're slowly making it into another Pakistan. Okay, this is one part of it. This is an old-time plan of theirs which they want to execute and take revenge against India. And that is why you see this excessive targeting of minorities. Which is, fringe instances, this one, what is that? Fringe instances in the past have now become very institutionalized. It's all planned and, they're going after. They don't want a single minority to survive out there. Which means anybody who's, opposed to, anybody who's pro-India out there, they're going to target. And you must have seen that, the way they targeted ISKCON also at that time. This also acts as a diversion for them from their own problems out there, because the people are asking questions. Imran Khan supporters are all over the place. That has become a big issue after that. That has become a big issue. So these kind of things which are going on, this acts as a diversion. Plus, it also gives them time to regroup their terrorist organization, which they're, so badly got rattled during Operation Sindoor out there. And this is a perfect launch pad also for them. I mean, every attack, I would see that they would try to launch at least 90% of the attacks through that border. So that, it becomes a Bangladesh terror. So they get that deniability also. So because they are currently being scrutinized by the Financial Action Task Force, no end in this scrutiny. So this is a game plan which the Pakistan deep state is playing there. So there are two things at play there. One is diversion, retention, but the main thing is revenge for 71.
The 71 thing is very interesting because what we are also seeing is that there is a effort within Bangladesh to kind of erase that. They're attacking war veterans, they're attacking the symbols, they're attacking all that stuff to erase it. Usko hatao.
Correct.
What do you think is the game within the society? I mean, what's your opinion as far as the terrorists and all that stuff? Fantastic. They're brilliant. All right. You've created a network. But does the larger level of people actually submit to something like that? Because Pakistanis do. They submit to it. But Bangladesh?
I would now say that, at least 30 to 40, 30, 35% of Bangladeshis do, subscribe to what exactly Pakistan is doing out there now. Trying to erase that, I would say a lot of them being the Jamaat supporters. They definitely are not, pro-India at all. Many within the BNP also. Now, the Awami League supporters, there's a considerable amount of them who are pro-India only because, under their when their government was in power, our ties were really solid. Now, by carrying out these, like that guy Hadi, who got married, who got murdered the other day. Now, that was an intentional hit by, it was an internal hit out there, and trying to pass it off as a hit which was carried out by our agencies. So, when they continuously do that. But one thing is that the Bangladeshis don't like any form of meddling in their country. And that is the narrative that they try to pass, saying that, India is meddling too much. They're killing our student leaders. They're fanning the violence. So when you continuously over a period of time, like, you go on doing that, you can, get a lot of people on your side to follow that mindset. Like Hadi was a guy who was blaming India for every problem in Bangladesh. Like, even if a snake died in Bangladesh, he would blame India. He was up to that level. So by carrying out such incidents, like student leaders are very popular out there. We must have seen that during the protest. They managed to overthrow a government. So if these kind of incidents keep happening on a regular basis, which I see them happening, ahead of the election, because there's a specific, there is definitely a ploy to try and delay the election. One. So in the run-up, you're going to see all these kind of incidents and create an atmosphere of hate against India. And if you have 65 to 70% of the population who think that way, your 95% of the game is won actually. And that is
Hmm.
what they're doing. But between the ouster of Sheikh Hasina and now, I see that, that Hate India Brigade has considerably gone up 15, 20, 25%, up to that. So they are largely successful, I would say, for now. But that all depends on currently opinion polls. If you see, it is BNP in the lead. Now, that is the only party we can engage with now because you can have diplomatic ties. Jamaat is going to be very, very difficult to maneuver because they'll play the ISI's playbook. And then, yeah, please.
No, that's interesting you mentioned that, but at the end of it, what is this become is Protestant.
Absolutely, yeah. It is that. Protestant, Wilistan. Okay,
It's become
so
Protestant.
yes.
Protestant doesn't earn you money.
That they don't seem to realize, right? I mean, they're behaving exactly like the Pakistanis. No, that is the problem. I mean, you have no food to eat, but you have bombs to throw. That is the thing there. They're not real. I mean, if the people themselves don't understand that, from the most promising economy in the world to this, then there's something really wrong with the people out there. I mean, a few people at least, there's something really wrong because it looks like they're getting consumed more and more by religion than I mean, like what happens in Pakistan. As long as your religion is protected and fine, and you think you have the upper hand, nothing at all matters. And those voices for whom it matters, they will be suppressed.
All right, so let me put it this way. Now you have this happening. They're spreading the jihadism in that entire area. We can see that ISI footprint is increasing. Um, so this is basically back to a situation where probably 1969, 1968, 69, where all sorts of this activity was starting up in the northeast as well.
Yes.
Now, interestingly, we busted a huge terrorist group yesterday, day before yesterday. The Sam police has done it. So there's a lot. We're a little more aware of how these things work. How successful do you think these guys will be?
See, I mean, like I always keep saying is that they need to succeed
Once,
only once,
yeah,
and we can't afford to fail even once. They
yeah.
will keep trying. They will definitely keep trying. So it's going to be extremely challenging because it's a continuous process to monitor the border, to prevent the illegal immigration, the infiltration of terrorists, because they have their own sleeper cells here also in India. They'll try and activate most of them. So there's a lot of work in the Northeast. And with, free fall talk by Yunus about the chicken snack and all those things, especially during a visit in China and all that, there's definitely, a kind of way of dishing up, passions. And, those can irritate the Northeastern people also. That could, turn violent. So, terrorism, what I see, would not typically be in the same, like, a Faridabad module terror group or something like that. It could be a lot of other things. Unrest, communal violence, violence against the state. That all amounts to, the kind of terror they are planning in the Northeast.
Hmm. In this, one of the biggest things that we also see is that this Hadi guy, like you mentioned, the Hadi guys, this thing was kind of, it was blown up. Now, today, there's a video which has come out of that chap Faisal, who is
Hmm.
supposed to be the killer. Now, this chap is sitting in Dubai.
Right.
Funnily, he was supposedly, he had escaped to India.
Hmm.
Today, he comes out with this video, and I have actually put out the visa. So I said,
Right.
okay,
Right.
this is interesting. I see his visa, and so what is this nonsense? So he's come out and said, I've been framed and this and that. I didn't do anything. This is. I have my kind of my analysis says that this has been done by the Pakistanis ISI. They brought somebody from there who did this, and basically they're hiding him or they've taken him out of Pakistan by now.
Yeah.
Uh, One thing is happening in Bangladesh, which I really see, is that all these narratives that they play, it doesn't last for a day itself. Even the Bangladeshis itself debunk it.
Correct.
And that's very interesting, which is not the case before with Bangladesh. Before, you saw the last year when this whole so-called coup happened, we saw the average Bangladeshi kind of believing all sorts of nonsense that was told to him. Today, that's not the case. They're questioning the thing. So, is there
Absolutely.
a silent majority which is sitting there, which is saying, dude, what's happening here? And the sheer fact that these women ran away from that NCP, what does this tell you? And I'm not being hopeful. I'm just trying to understand, because honestly telling you, I know that to me, that place is going to become the next Syria or Somalia. So, there's no question.
Right.
It's just a matter of time.
Correct. Uh, if you would ask me, why we are debunking everything now, and they were not doing so. I mean, they were
Yeah.
not doing so earlier. Now, actually, they thought that when the student protest started, against the Sheikh Hasina regime, these people showed them a lot of hope. They, called her a tyrant, and there needs to be more kind of free speech, etc. They built up a proper narrative, like a proper deep state activity. Okay, a proper narrative was built. That student movement, the problem with, I mean, the thing with student protests is, it spreads in no time. Okay, because you remember us as students, protest meaning whether you have to study or not, you go and join the protest. So that was the narrative. But then after that, what transpired? Like, this country is in the news every day for some lynching or communal violence or some this ISI activity. It's getting a lot of negative press. And Bangladesh for over 50 years has been a country which has not had this kind of negative press, like what I mean, maybe one or two instances or 5 to 10 instances, but not like a terror state like Pakistan. And now that there are a lot big majority there who want that kind of harmony, a good economy, good jobs, all these things, and that is why they started debunking it now. Because the ousting of Sheikh Hasina, after that, what happened? Most of them wouldn't have comprehended. And I don't know why, those people living, they couldn't see through one thing, is that every time a Jamaat related activity is happening there in Bangladesh, or anything connected to the Jamaat, it can never be good for the country. Because they would like to, put religion above development, those things, they believe in the implementation of the Sharia law, all these things are there. So today it's kind of dawning upon these people, like, what on earth went wrong now, finally? We were promised a better country, but now we're worse than what we were before 71, actually. So that is why you see them debunking it. And of course, as you pointed out, those women walking out of the NCP, they walked out because they did not want the alliance with the Jamaat. There were many who did not want it. Just 30%, about 25 to 30% of them wanted it. And that's why they realized anything to do with Jamaat is bad news for the country. And that is why this NCP is splitting, and and Jamaat had just offered them 30 seats in that 300 plus member parliament of theirs. So it's dawning upon them. Even the students, many of them, who are part of that protest, have realized that this is not exactly what they protested for. This is not what they signed up for. They signed up for a better country. And today it's in the news, I think every minute or every hour. So tickers only keep flashing that. And I don't think the average Bangladeshi, the sensible Bangladeshi, would want a reputation like that for his country. Like, when the Pakistani travels somewhere, you see with what suspicion he's looked at. That was never the case with the Bangladeshis. Now that will soon start happening. Oh, you're from that state. Now you're going to have a weak passport. You're going to find it difficult to get visas. Countries like India, which were very welcoming, for them to come and study here, and or for their hospitalization, also will think twice before getting this one. So now they know, with this Jamaat in control, it is definitely ISI Jamaat, one and the same thing at the end. So with this Jamaat in control, this is what you're going to get. That's it. And that's why they're debunking.
Interestingly, when you look at when you look at this entire setup of I mean, I don't know what else to put it as, jihadis around the place between Pakistan and Bangladesh. They are trying to play this white collar game, which you've written about, child terrorists, women terrorists, and this and that. Tell me a little more about it. What have you found? And yeah,
Women terrorists, child terrorists. Okay, so I mean, they're just using everything at their disposal. This actually, the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, this women's module, that was always in the making. I mean, it was always there. It's just that post Operation Sindoor, they decided to activate it. And they're following the same script. Now, what has happened is in Pakistan, if you look at it, many terror groups, the recruitments have come down very heavily out there. Like the leadership themselves was very upset with the establishment saying, you were not able to protect us. Like, our headquarters, or when Masood Azhar lost most of his family members. So there was that mistrust. And this is not happening. What is that? Recruitments are not happening because that morale is down of the leadership. And, I mean, it was really shameful for them what happened in those 70 to 21 minutes of the day one of the operation. That was like, boom, everything gone. Okay. So now what happens is women have always been used as a tool by many terror groups because they're better when it comes to recruitment. Like, when they talk like a motherly figure to, the slightly younger people. So they've got more convincing power. They come a little less under the radar. So this women's wing and all which they're starting, children's wing, to train them young and to radicalize them, or sometimes just use them as a suicide bomber because doubts are very less on children. But that is for the future models. And women module is maybe suicide bombers, but largely to radicalize and largely to recruit because they have proven to be better recruiters. And especially the elder women, they are more convincing, when compared to the men. So, like I know, that long back, in Hyderabad and all, when these Indian Mujahideen and all, there were certain, women, middle-aged women whose only job was to, talk to the youth why this is important, that is important here. So it is like, Ammi bol rahi to sach hoga, that kind of this one, and that is the main purpose of both these children's as well as the women's module. And now when it comes to white collar module, the thing is there, of course, doctors working. Who suspects? Eye of suspicion is very low on them, and it's a Jaish-e-Mohammed inspired module, which actually Jaish-e-Mohammed had not much work to do on that. So when this white collar, they prefer such people also because white collar guys, the thing is, gone are those days, when they say that, it was his poverty which got him into terrorism, it was what he went through in the past, that's why he got into terrorism. Terrorism is a poor man. No, he's a very intelligent man. But these guys, the training is less. They know how to have encrypted chats on their own. You don't have to train them. They know how to prepare a bomb on their own because, they are internet savvy. So it's basically a low-cost operation. And when these guys, get into this, they are extremely dangerous because they are doing it only for the cause. I know many have done it for the money also, even within the Indian Mujahideen. Now, that is an easy guy to break. This radicalized fellow, that was self-radicalized, is extremely dangerous. And that is best achieved in this kind of white-collar models where you have doctors, engineers, or educated people. Like, I'll give you that example of that guy, Kafil Ahmed, who engineered Glasgow bomber, one of India's first known suicide bombers. He drove this one, what is that? His vehicle into the Glasgow airport. I mean, it's unfortunately just missed. Okay, so I mean, he was all alone. I mean, he was not in touch with anyone. I mean, they tried, Al Qaeda, this one, nothing. He was reading Al Qaeda literature. He decided one fine day on my own, I have to get this one. I'm going to go blow up this airport. Yeah. There's nothing you can do to de-radicalize such a person. He's ultra radicalized. So this is how the white collar thing works. I mean, because it's not a new phenomenon. Educated terrorists, highly educated terrorists, is nothing new. Islamic State, 9/11 guys. I mean, they were what? They were all educated. Yeah.
Osama himself.
Yeah, himself. Yes. So those kind of guys are much more radical. And I mean, I'll give you some money. You go, carry out the attack. He can lose interest halfway as a paisa or teek nahi tha or something like that. That won't happen with these guys.
It's an interesting scenario, if I may say that, and one really wonders what side is going to split. And honestly, I don't even know if Bangladesh will stay together because, to my mind, I think the sectionality of and the division within the society will create different control zones. So you'll have warlordism sort of a thing happening. So you'll have probably a control zone of the Jamaat, control zone of the minorities, control zone of this thing. And I think there's an armed struggle coming inside that country. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I definitely see, because I would still say, you know what, not all the Bangladeshis are on the same page of what exactly is happening. I mean, we say, but the problem is now there are going to be the dissenting voices against, forces like Jamaat and ISI. But what do you do? Yeah, but what do you do? These guys have control of the army, the police, the intel. They'll start using force. They'll start using force, and that is going to turn into another rebel. But that sometimes, if I look at it, it's gone beyond our control. And in fact, there is a constant attempt also to try and provoke India into going and doing something bombastic out there. Like initiate a war or something. That has also been tried out there. I mean, I'm not even going to comment on who's going to win that war. I mean, that goes without saying. But still, it's a war. Okay, so that is the problem now. Then there'll be force. There'll be brute force. There's going to be street violence. All those things. One can hope that that some better sense prevails over Tariq Rahman, and he understands the need for some amount of semblance and sanity in that country. But no, it's not happening anytime soon, because the fire has been ignited. To douse it is going to take a long time, and you cannot just say magically February 12th elections are over, 14th the results are discussed, BNP is forming the government, so everything is okay in Bangladesh. It's gone a little beyond that. Whoever is going to come to power. Jamaat comes, then forget it. This is going to be the new normal out there. But if some sensible leader comes out there, then he's going to take years to get over it. Because
yeah. There's just no question. And the worst part about the whole thing, it's even the sensible leaders are going to be, far and few between.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
It's not something which is going to be there. Honestly, Vicky sir, thank you so much for the time. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I hope not one of our last conversation should be one of the first. Thank you so much for coming in on Dev Talks. To the audience, please like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. What do you guys think is going to happen? The next few days are going to be very, very interesting. So we'll keep a track. We'll let you know. And of course, don't forget to support the channel. Namaskar.
Thank you.